Podcasting from Woodstock, Georgia, welcome to Soul Solutions, a show where we overcome our fears and our limiting beliefs. I'm your host, author, and certified life coach, Terry Kozlowski. Hello, warriors. Are you looking to live your life with less fear? Fear is a learned behavior, so the good news is it can be unlearned. I have a blueprint for you to use to overcome your fears and limiting beliefs so you can live the life you deserve. Check out my free mini ebook, The Blueprint to Overcoming Fear. The link is in the show notes. Don't allow the ego to use your fears to stop you from speaking boldly. Now let's start this week's episode. Episode 141. To overcome fear, you need to speak boldly, but with kindness. Whether in a one-on-one setting or a presentation, I'm working on speaking boldly. In the past, I frequently softened my statements to appease others. I'm not alone either. Many of the clients I work with worry about being bold. As a result, their message is so watered down that it does not influence their listeners. It's time for everyone to develop a daring mindset to speak boldly. Being courageous is not a quality you can pull out of your hat when you're trying to connect with those you are trying to communicate with. You need to adopt a bold mentality in your daily life. Otherwise, you won't have the courage to speak boldly. Writing my memoir, Raven Transcending Fear, has proven to be a very effective tool for encouraging my boldness. Because of my trepidation, it took years before I ever began to write. But now that the book is out in the world, I feel more confident. What are the obstacles to effective communication? What are some ways in which you sabotage your interactions with others? Your emotions can wreak havoc on your ability to speak boldly. Why? Because when you are stressed or upset, your ability to interpret nonverbal communication is at a disadvantage. You can put off confusing nonverbal cues and react instead of responding appropriately because you misunderstood something. To overcome this issue, take a few deep breaths to calm yourself to communicate authentically. Are you fully present when conveying, or are you trying to multitask? If you aren't focused on the discussion, you aren't actively listening to what's being said. So it shouldn't surprise you when you miss receiving information vital to respond well. To avoid this as an impediment to communicating, become fully present with the person you are talking with. Look at them in the eye as you are conversing. Not listening for comprehension is another obstacle to successful communication. Are you waiting for your turn to speak instead of genuinely hearing what's being said? In doing this, you miss pieces of data that might be significant to your understanding. Or are you interrupting the speaker because you think you know what they are trying to convey, which shows a complete lack of respect for the person talking? Instead, consciously choose to listen to the speaker for full comprehension of what is being said, then pause and prepare your response. The ego and speaking boldly. The ego gets fearful of authentic communication. Why? Because when you are genuinely conversing with another, you are sharing yourself and your vulnerabilities. The ego doesn't enjoy being exposed. It prefers to hide those so-called weaknesses behind a wall of lies and innuendos. The ego thinks that a little white lie is harmless, but it's not. Allowing the ego to pretend or withhold only makes communication more problematic and harms your relationships. You need to express yourself without encroaching on others. Being able to convey anger or other negative feelings respectfully is imperative to dealing with others. Seek honest feedback to test how effective you are at communicating with others. Then heed the information. Accept the compliments and the criticism in ways that support you to learn from the experience. Openly receive feedback helps you flourish in life. Asking for support when you need it shows others you know your skill set and are unafraid to ask for help. Habits to speak boldly. Someone requested suggestions on how to speak confidently, particularly when feeling uncomfortable or intimidated. This got me thinking about how I developed from being an anxious introvert who was easily frightened to where I feel calm, collected, and sometimes even joyous while speaking to an audience, to having my podcast and YouTube channel, Soul Solutions. Here are some habits you can add to your life to help you adopt a courageous attitude in how you communicate with others. Number 1, exude confidence. Stand tall. Heads up, look forward, shoulders back. If you're standing, place your feet firmly on the ground with your legs fully extended. The same is true if you're sitting. Create a posture that conveys you're attentive, focused, and respectful. Walk confidently and with a smile. Even if you don't feel confident, keeping an assertive demeanor will make you feel as though you're capable and prepared for the exchange. Others will believe it too. Number 2, speaking boldly builds respectability. Do you hesitate to express your opinions out of concern that they won't be well reasoned and backed up by facts? Maybe you are overly nice because you want to be liked and don't want to deal with people getting unhappy. I've occasionally been reluctant to express my opinions for fear of upsetting others. When the issue worsens, I finally express myself only to be told I should have spoken up earlier. Research shows that those who spoke up were regarded as leaders. That makes sense, but here's the crazy twist. What these people said didn't have to be brilliant, innovative, or great. So the lesson is to speak up and don't worry about being perfect. Number 3, evaluating the risk. Sometimes when I want to say something bold, I keep quiet because all I can think of is an unnamed catastrophe. When I stop to consider the worst case scenario, I realize that the worst that could happen is the person I'm speaking to might be upset for a day. Can I deal with that? I can. They frequently don't even express irritation. They merely thank me for being honest. The negative effects of speaking boldly frequently don't happen. Number 4, get rid of unnecessary words. Do you use slang terms and phrases in your sentence? Like, I just like to, sort of, kind of. They weaken the impact and importance of your ideas. You might not be aware that you're doing this. To get feedback, either record yourself and listen to the recording or ask a member of your trusted tribe to critique you. Speak boldly instead of being timid. You'll promote your views, make a point, and advance your endeavor. Number 5, stop the nervous chatter. You've stated something significant, but are afraid about sticking up for yourself. This can be especially true when the other person doesn't answer right away or is staring you down. It's easy to betray your insecurities through self-criticism, apologies, backing down, or giving alternatives. Don't do it. When you stand on what you've said, it will help you gain the respect of others. If this is hard, you can count backward from 20 in your head to allow the silence to sit there. Number 6, visualize beforehand. Brain scans have shown that your brain cannot tell the difference between what you visualize and the real world. By envisioning that conversation, you persuade your brain that you can perform at the highest level. That makes it more likely that everything will work out well. Athletes have employed this method for years. Try it. You can do it. Deliver your message clearly and concisely. Number 7, make an authentic connection. Show real empathy and compassion when you speak boldly. Be other-oriented. This means that you are connecting to the other person and trying to understand their situation or side of the problem sincerely. Show genuine warmth and understanding for the other person makes communication more genuine and less confrontational so that everyone gets along. Number 8, be honest and tell the truth. Honest and open dialogue that is truthful and conversational is the best way to deal with those issues that are more delicate. No lying or exaggerating the issue at hand with overly emotional tones. Everyone wants honest communication, but being angry or overly sensitive is not helpful in any form of interaction. Number 9, words have power. Choose your words so others understand them, not to impress them. Use straightforward, unpretentious language so people can understand the message you are trying to convey. You are responsible to the listener to be sure that they understand your words. Ask them to repeat back to you what they understood you said as a check that both parties communicated clearly. Number 10, be specific. Don't overgeneralize when you are speaking. If there is a specific problem, only focus on that issue. You need to be factual and less opinionated when you're discussing issues with others. Once the facts and the details of the matter are clearly understood, then options can be planned. This is when your opinion can be introduced. Moving forward, speaking boldly. It's bold to show up in all areas of your life as your authentic self, including how you speak to others. And being your authentic self makes the ego think you are vulnerable and somebody may take advantage of you. It may be true, but there are ways to mitigate the chances you are taking. See, you were born vulnerable, but as you grew up, you were told that vulnerability was a weakness. You were hurt and put up defenses, so you're timid in how you communicate with others. You've softened your opinions and say things to appease others so you don't have to deal with someone's emotions. But now it's time to become vulnerable by speaking boldly your truth, your feelings, your needs. When you speak boldly as an act of self-care and self-love, you reframe your thinking about the fears the ego uses to keep you quiet and frustrated. Do you need help learning to overcome your fears and live a bold life? Are you looking for support to empower yourself to speak your truth? Do you want a strategy to help you create an extraordinary life? Consider using my coaching services by contacting me at terrykozlowski.com. Together, we can create an action plan for you to live fearlessly by speaking boldly. To hear how I learned to speak my truth, you can do so by reading my book, Raven Transcending Fear, available on Amazon, or by visiting raventranscendingfear.com. Thanks for listening to Soul Solutions with Terry Kozlowski. If you'd like the show and want to learn more, check out terrykozlowski.com, where you can find the links to everything we talked about in this episode. Please subscribe to the show so you'll never miss an episode as we overcome our fears and our limiting beliefs.